such a person is still in the realm of sin.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And so sin can have a disparaging effect on the quality of life.
Well, yeah, because sin has basic.
Of its victim. I think it's not inappropriate to use a term.
Mm-hmm.
When I use the victim word, it's a strong word.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, do you think that would be appropriate to put up there on the internet?
Yeah.
Do you use that particular word?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, look at how fucked society is now. Like, sin's basically been normalized.
Yeah.
Like, cheating people to get ahead and shit like that, and then just basically only using God to ask for forgiveness for fucking everybody over.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad you said that for more than one reason. Well, one of the reasons I'm glad you used it in a positive sense of the word glad is because it's a strong word.
Yeah.
Even to this day, to some extent, it's I think in most circles that word still has somewhat of an edge to it.
Yep.
Perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I know I used to use that word a lot when I was in a certain stage of my life, and just as an adjective, even.
Yeah.
To describe how hot it was, I'd use effing hot.
Well, yeah.
Where am I going? Well, when it's used in that fashion, especially if it's done in an habitual fashion,
Mm-hmm.
it can dilute the word.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. The placement and use of it is absolutely key.
Yeah.
Like, one of my friends commented on that normalcy post that I was telling you about, and they said they quoted Eminem because he even said himself, "Fuck being normal." Like, fuck that. Like, no.
Yeah.
Because I think what happens is we get too focused on trying to be quote unquote normal that we start suppressing our unique selves to try and please everybody else, and then down the line we wonder, well, why am I not satisfied?
Yeah.
Because you're not being your authentic self.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. You're diminishing your own uniqueness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like, no, it's not worth trying to fit ourselves into a box or anything like that. It's purely just being ourselves. And if you're yourself authentically, then people with similar mindsets are going to naturally gravitate towards us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like you were telling me that you and your wife had that on your wall. That picture that said "Why be normal."
It wasn't a picture. It was just it was a black background thing, and the writing on it was in white letters, whatever.
Nice, very very nice.
That's
but
the
yeah,
detail of it, as I recall.
Yeah, but exactly. Why be normal? Why subject yourself to that essential torture of trying to suppress yourself and fit yourself into a box when you don't even belong in a box to begin with?
Yeah. 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 God never made two of us alike.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, like, could you imagine if the whole world was just like you, or the whole world was just like me? No.
Oh,
no. Fuck no.
Please no. Please no.
Yeah. Exactly.
Especially when we look at the diversity of life on this planet.
Exactly.
You know, plant life and animal life, both.
Yeah.
You know, flora and fauna both.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
Is this being taped by the
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been recording for the last 4 minutes.
Right on.
But yeah, like I personally I don't want to be normal. Like I don't know if I told you this story yet, but my psychiatrist a few years ago, he's like, well, he's like, what would you hypothetically, if we had 10 people in a room right now? He's like, and you said the stuff that you're saying to me. He's like, how many of the people in the room would agree with you? I'm like, well, 9 of them. I looked them straight in the face and I said, look, 9 of them would disagree with me and think I'm full of absolute shit. And he's like, okay, what about the other guy? I said, there's going to be one person who's going to be batshit fucking crazy and think that I'm spot on accurate. And he's like, well, I can't diagnose you. I'm like, what do you mean you can't diagnose me? He's like, because there's actually nothing wrong with you. He's like, you're the perfect kind of crazy. He's like, because a crazy person, if we had a crazy person in this room, they would think that not only the 10 people in this room would agree with them, but so would everybody else out in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, well, shit, okay.
Yeah.
But, no, personally, like even when we look at our normal routine, what we call our normal routines in the morning, none of them are stereotypically normal. Like, sure, there's some things that naturally overlap that everybody does. I hope, like taking a shower or stuff like that. But yeah, like because in my mind, when I think of normal, I think of something that everybody would do, if that makes sense. Like, what can I use as an example for that? Yeah, like most of us go to work. We all do different jobs, but having a job is somewhat normal, but there is no such thing as a completely normal job.
Well, let's face it, especially from a pragmatic perspective.
Yeah.
The only real dictionary
Mm-hmm.
is the way any particular word is used.
Yes.
And in the case of some words in particular, the way in which any given word is used tends to change over time,
Mm-hmm.
acquire various connotations, etc., etc. I mean, witness the use of the word gay, for example,
Yeah.
in the history of the English language, and how
Yeah.
vastly the use of the word has changed, and therefore its fundamental meaning has been
Yeah.
drastically altered.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think in today you could go out there and say that you're gay and people would naturally think that you're happy anymore.
They might think you're happy, but they wouldn't necessarily associate the use of the word.
Yeah, there'd be something else going on
They
there.
would interpret the word as if
Yeah.
you're identifying what your particular sexual orientation.
Exactly. And I personally don't have anything against gay people or anything like that, but that's just one of the other connotations to it. Because back in the like 50s, 60s, I guess it would have been more the just gay isn't happy.
The use of the word gay began to. I'm old enough to remember I was born in 1950.
Yep.
So no later than the late 60s, that word had certainly
Evolved.
altered itself, especially in people who were less than age 30.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's been an evolution, if you want to use the word,
Yeah.
or a devolution of the use of the word, depending upon one's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But no, I think to make things a little bit better overall, everybody just has to normalize being themselves and not try to fit into a cookie cutter sort of mold or put themselves into a box or a certain type of label just because they think or feel a certain thing.
Yeah. Well, my own perspective on it is that, oftentimes when we attempt to be so-called normal,
Mm-hmm.
in so doing, we trap ourselves and essentially are conforming to a mold that is not consistent
Mm-hmm.
with the way God designed us to be.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I follow that.
It's interesting, at least to me, that Jesus came
Mm-hmm.
for more than one reason, but fundamentally he came to save sinners.
Yes.
He also said he came to give us the abundant life,
Mm-hmm.
indicating that the quality of the life after conversion is to be experienced in a more positive manner. That is to say, the experience of living out the Christian life is supposed to be a better quality of life than previous to conversion.
Mm-hmm.
this is not to say that there is pleasure in sin. There is. And
Well, yeah, that's why that's why
there
we
is
do
pleasure
it.
in sin.
Yeah.
The Hebrew writer makes that clear.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, the quality of the Christian life is better than living in a life of sin. Sin is a ploy that Satan puts before us,
Mm-hmm.
and we can be victimized by sin.
Yes.
So we need to realize that indeed we can be victimized,
Yeah.
deceived, and ensnared. And it's only those who recognize and realize that there is dissatisfaction that comes along with the sinful lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
that can motivate a person to look to Jesus in a real way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm following you.
No, but well, that's kind of the terminal point of that particular spiel of mine. Sometimes I indulge in these spiels.
Oh no, we're here for your spiels, Phil.
Yeah. Well, that particular spiel has come to its conclusion.
Yeah, like yeah, I think to elaborate on that a little bit, I think the whole concept of us getting victimized is to see how we overcome that. Because there's two things we can do. We can use that to help others, or we can act out of anger and get all pissed off and then go out and victimize other people.
Oh yeah, right.
It's just which side of the coin are we going to play?
Yeah, that's where Satan can really do a number on us.
Yeah.
We don't even realize necessarily that we're, how can I say it, passing on the deadly virus
Mm-hmm.
to other people in the way that we treat other people.
Yeah.
It's a real challenge at times to have our eyes opened and then to act accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough just to have our eyes opened.
Yeah.
We need to act in a manner that is consistent with the insight we may have arrived at.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Like if say for example I get punched in the face. Sure, I'm going to want to punch the guy in the face that punched me, but at the same time, I'm not going to want to go out and randomly punch somebody in the face because I know how much that hurt me.
Right.
I'd rather go and prevent somebody else from getting punched in the face rather than go do the punching.
And I think it's fair to say, at least in the cases of most people, it's not merely the physical suffering
No,
from a well-landed punch.
no, exactly.
It's the insult to the person himself.
Yeah.
As to his heart, the spiritual nature that we all have.
Yeah.
After all, we are made in the image of God.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there are some of us who deny that.
Mm-hmm.
And we like, especially those of us who are of the male gender,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps more so than those who are of the female gender.
Yeah.
We're apt to deny that, and we like to bury our feelings and say, "Well, I can handle this, and I'll just fight back in a vicious rage and
exactly
go pummeling the other guy."
Yeah, exactly, and that's been a really big stigma as well. Is that men are supposed to be these titans that can take anything and just smile and carry on, and men have feelings, really? We do? Yeah, we do. We feel shit. We don't always talk about it, but we process. That's why that's actually why I drank as much as I did when I was younger and dumber, because I just didn't want to feel things. I wanted to forget everything.
Yeah.
Well, you get enough alcohol into you, you forget how to talk, you forget how to walk, you forget your own name.
Yeah.
It was great.
Back in my day, one of the terms that was used was "so and so got stupid."
Exactly.
He got drunk, in other words.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was me. Like I used to be really young and stupid, and now that I'm in my 30s, it's more so that I'm just young and not so dumb. But I tell you one thing. I don't care what society you want to believe in. Drinking 3 to 5 gallons of alcohol a week is not normal. That is not a normal thing to do.
No. Well, especially when it becomes chronic over time.
Yep. Yeah,
People
exactly.
can do a lot of damage to themselves.
Well, yeah, that's I was drinking 3 to 5 gallons a week for about 3 months.
Yeah.
I was sitting on a couch in a basement, and I felt like I got shanked. I felt like somebody walked up and stabbed me right in the abdomen. I looked down and I'm like, I feel like I got stabbed, but there's no knife sticking out of me. So when you feel, when you're drunk, it's bad enough to just feel like you've been stabbed and there's no knife sticking out of you. But when you're drunk and that happens, oh man, it throws you for a loop because it's like, wait a minute. If I feel like I've been stabbed, there should be a knife. But why is there no knife? Yeah, that. So, me being Mr. Tough Guy, admitting that I didn't have any feelings and I was a titan and I could take everything, friends at the party are like, you're going to the hospital. Well, I don't need a hospital. Doctors don't know anything. Like, doctors know some things, but I don't need a doctor. I don't need to go to the hospital. And I'm like, okay, Mr. Tough Guy, we haven't seen you cry because of pain in over 15 years. And here you are crying like a blubbering baby who just had their lollipop stolen.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it hurts a bit, but I'm good. I'll get over it. You know, I'll build a bridge. I'm a man. I can do this. And they're like, okay, Mr. Tough Guy, you walk up the 2 flights of stairs to the living room, and we won't make you go to the hospital. Well, 2 flights of stairs is nothing. Like, I could do a CN Tower stair climb with this.
Right.
That was my thinking before I got up off the couch. And I get up, I walk over to the stairs. I made it up 4 stairs before I collapsed. I just folded up like an accordion and they had to carry me upstairs. And they're like, so I guess we're going to the hospital. I say, hey, we made a bet. I lost the bet. I guess we're going to the hospital. So, but yeah, that was, I would not wish that experience on anyone at all. At all. I'd rather just share that story and laugh at myself for it,
Yeah.
rather than, well, witness somebody else go down that path.
Right.
And if they are down that path, then I'd like to reach out and help them if I could.
There's been many a person who's damaged his life
Yep.
through the overuse of alcoholic beverages.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Damaged his life in many ways and oftentimes perpetrated damage onto the lives of other people.
Yep. Yeah, drunk driving. That comes to mind immediately.
Members of his own family.
Yeah, there's that emotional toll for them because they...
Negative effects on the lives of people that are directly connected to the person in question.
Well, yeah, because the person sitting there drinking and obviously drowning sorrows that they're not wanting to talk about, and then the loved ones around them are watching this downhill spiral, and then they start feeling bad because they want this person to open up and be able to talk, and the person's just not doing it, which makes these people start feeling, the people who want to be the support system, start feeling inadequate or useless because, well, I want him to I want him to talk to me, but he's not talking to me. Like, what's wrong with me where they don't want to talk to me? And it's not necessarily something wrong with the person who's trying to be the supporter. It's an issue with the person not being able to be open with themselves. And that's an issue going on inside that specific person, not anything to do with the support system.
Well, alcohol is not the one and only
No.
means of
No. There are several substances that are
becoming a victim and or a captive.
Mm-hmm.
It's all kinds of other behaviors that have an equally gripping and destructive effect on a person.
Well, yeah, fuck, look at me with smoking. I'll throw myself under the bus with that one. You've seen me when I've tried to go a couple days without a smoke. I'm not a pretty sight.
Well, at the risk of being overly cynical about human nature, until and unless the
Mm-hmm.
negative effects become so overwhelming,
Yeah.
you may never, uh, you may never gather the wherewithal,
Mm-hmm.
the resoluteness and the determination, etc., to put an end to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
I'm
it's.
of the conviction that the disease paradigm,
Yep.
or the disease approach to what has traditionally been called alcoholism
Mm-hmm.
is a less than useful way of handling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know people who have overcome habits of equally, for example, the use of cigarettes.
Yep.
My late mother went cold turkey after 45 years of
Yeah.
using it on
Mm-hmm.
a fairly, one pack to 2 pack a day basis. She
Wow.
just went cold turkey. I had a friend of mine that did the same thing and stayed off it for 10 or more years. Now, in
Yep.
this case, he went back to it, but since then he went off it again.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the cold turkey. He didn't use any these, the patch or
Mm-hmm.
any such approach. It was his will, in other words.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a lot of willpower.
Yeah.
Especially to pull off a cold turkey quit like that, because that is a fight. That's a fight. It's a winnable fight, but it is a fight.
Human beings have to learn to use their higher faculties. I'll use the adjective higher, for lack of a better word.
Yep. Yep.
To dictate their behavior, in other words, not to permit the impulses of the flesh to
Mm-hmm.
permit to have the upper hand.
Yeah.
So if we do less than that, then we're compromising, in a very real sense of the word, we're guilty of compromising our humanity.
Yeah.
We're made in the image of God.
Mm-hmm.
We need to recognize this.
Yes.
And if we do recognize this, it should motivate us to live up to our God-given potential.
Absolutely.
And our potential is to glorify God.
Yep.
To be the best person that we can be.
Exactly.
And not all of us are going to be the same, because He made each and every one of us. We're all unique.
Exactly, and 100 people have 1% of the answer. So we can't all be unique. Otherwise, we all have the same way of thinking, and we'll overlook the exact same things.
We need one another.
Exactly. We need one another, and we need various perspectives if we're going to make this world a better place.
We need to complement one another.
Yes.
No man is an island.
No.
We're all connected together. There was a famous poet, John Donne was his name. I only went as far as freshman English.
Okay.
I was a math guy, so
Yeah.
I never had to take English beyond freshman level.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember my English teacher going on about John Donne, the famous poem of his, the name of which escapes me right now. But
Okay.
he made the point that no man, we're all part of. The word clod was used, C-L-O-D,
Mm-hmm.
as in an old term from the English language that was used in the 1600s.
Mm-hmm.
With respect to a portion of clay or earth.
Yep.
Right? So,
Yeah, like
Don's point is, we need one another. We're all part of a whole.
exactly.
A similar concept is found in the New Testament with referencing the church as the body of Christ.
Yep.
Analogies are made to
And,
the human body, and how each member of a given congregation is a part of the body, and
mm-hmm.
we use our different resources and skills and talents in order to minister to one another.
Yes.
So that we can, in so doing, we can strengthen the entire body.
Mm-hmm.
Each member can make his or her own contribution to the welfare of the body, to the building up of the body in love.
Yes.
As we serve one another. So more easily stated than done, especially if we find ourselves in a first world context here.
Mm-hmm.
The latter, the early portion of the 21st century, relatively early, it's only 2025.
Yeah.
But it can be a real challenge living out one's faith in such a context. But
Yes.
we're called to do that.
Yes, we are.
Those of us who have entered into the body of Christ through faith and baptism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It might be worthwhile playing this back. How long has it been?
We're at 25 minutes. I still got another 9 minutes of recording space available, so we can keep going.
It's up to you. You're the.
No. We
you're
can
the
keep
one
doing.
with
No,
the
we're doing.
experience.
We're doing this in one take. I'm not playing it back until I upload it.
I thought you only do about 5 or 7 minutes, 7 or 8 minutes of this at a time.
I just hit record and forgot about it. So if I have to trim it down or whatever, I'll break it up into a couple different videos and then upload them all. Yeah, I can work with it. We can work with it. But no, coming back to James Dunn. No man is
John Dunn.
John Dunn. My bad, John Dunn. No man is an island. Well, somewhere especially within the last, I'm gonna say 40, 50 years, because it's definitely been a problem in the last 30. Is that society has started normalizing that men are islands. We're untouchable.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about our feelings. No, we don't. We're not supposed to have feelings. We're supposed to be mechanical robots that go to work, provide for the family, and go to bed and then wake up and do it all again. And that's life as a man. We don't feel anything. We don't know anything. We know things, but we don't necessarily share that knowledge because we don't want to get ridiculed. We don't want to say that we feel things because, oh no, now he's being soft and vulnerable. Now he's weak. Well, yeah, what we need is to find people we can be vulnerable with and then say, look, I know I'm being vulnerable right now, but this is only to you. I'm only being vulnerable with you because I know you won't use it against me.
Yeah.
And when a lot of people, both male and female, start closing off, is when we're vulnerable with somebody and then those vulnerabilities get used against us to make us feel inadequate and not worthy.
Yeah.
And then when somebody else comes along, hey, be vulnerable with me, it's like, I've been down this road before.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And then it puts more work onto the other person's plate because now they have to work 2 or 3 times as hard to get you to understand that you can be vulnerable with them. But it's a real it's a fight that has a very worthwhile reward.
Yeah, it can become a recipe for disaster because you get people feeling, oh, okay, well, I can't trust anybody.
Exactly. I felt like that myself.
As a result of which people just close down and isolate themselves from other people.
Yep.
So it just can become like a real downward spiral, the whole thing.
I'm a spitting image of that because you and Adam are the only 2 real friends that I have in this town. So I've been living here for a year, so I keep things pretty close to my chest and my circle pretty small. But no, I'm thankful to have you 2 guys. Like I'm good.
Well, it's the human experience is a rich one.
Yes, it is.
It can only be realized when we have enough courage to open ourselves to other people.
Yep.
The reason why we sometimes hesitate to do this is we're afraid that the other person will certainly, number one, perceive our shortcomings, our deficiencies, our tendencies to be more explicit, our tendencies to be sinful, etc., and therefore withdraw themselves from our company.
Yeah.
And we're afraid of that happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And therefore, we do have a tendency to hide our real self from other people.
Yep.
And this can be to our undoing.
It very much so. Because then we don't feel like anybody can understand the real us because we're not letting them meet the real us. Yeah. So of course nobody's gonna understand something you're not showing them. Yeah. We do shoot ourselves in the foot a little bit with that one, but Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we just need to, in the context of being normal, normalizing not being normal and just being our true authentic selves.
Well, we do need to restrain, however, our propensities at times to get
Hmm.
overly whatever,
Hmm.
fill in the blank, overly selfish or
Yeah.
overly angry, let's say.
Yep.
Uh, there is a place for anger, but it needs to be greatly controlled and not
Yeah.
permit one's heat to provoke us to do things that are really destructive.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Let's face it.
Exactly. We can. We're gonna feel. We're all gonna feel angry at some point. Uh, the key to it is, like you said, take some time, digest it. Don't say anything rash or in the heat of the moment, but just reflect on it and then approach the situation later and say, "Hey, this really didn't sit well with me," and then open the door for that communication. Because if somebody's trying to be supportive and encouraging, and you just rip their head off right away, they're not going to want anything to do with that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the difficulties with any long-term relationship.
Yes.
I mean, you can never, in a long-term relationship, the real self becomes manifest,
Mm-hmm.
and the perception that the other person has of you uh, is inescapable,
Yep.
and over time, uh, that knowledge that the person has of you can how can I put it, deteriorate
Mm-hmm.
in his or her understanding of you, and then the person just gives up,
Yep.
in a sense, on the relationship. So
Yeah. Yeah. That you know what?
we need to learn as human beings to keep it as much as possible into a two-way street
Yes.
situation compared to a one-way street
Yep.
or even a no-way street.
Exactly. And I am almost out of time on the recording here. But I like that little segue that we've started to lead into. I think we should get together next week and talk about that whole two-way street and break that right down. Because I think that'd be a really healthy conversation too.
Well, we'll see what happens, as they say. One day at a time.
Yep.
There's no guarantee either you or I will still be in this world next week.
This is true, but I'm gonna put my money on red and say that we're staying here till next week.
We don't know. There's a story that both you and I have heard.
Mm-hmm.
A real incident that occurred. I don't know, 4 months ago approximately, when a certain man and his wife went down to Florida
Oh yes.
on
Yeah.
vacation.
Yep.
And
Yep. Yeah, that was sad.
one of the man, the husband, was taken suddenly
Yep.
in a riptide situation. His life was over
Yeah. Exactly.
in a flash.
Yeah.
And I heard a story not too long ago on the radio of a real event that occurred. One of the cellists from the ELO, the Electric Light Orchestra,
Yep. Yeah. The car crash.
was motoring somewhere in the UK, and a heavy haystack came hurtling down a hill out of the blue, so to
Yeah.
speak, struck the vehicle and killed the cellist.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I'll wrap up that video there, and
So how long was that?
oh, it's we're gonna max out the time at 34 minutes and 26 seconds.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah. So.
What do you do now to play it back?
No, I'm gonna stop this and then upload it to Twitter right now.